everybody. How are you? I hope you guys are doing well. I am Teresa Rene. I am from Decoratőr Queen, and I'm over here on Pentart today. We are going to do a super fun project. I can't wait to show you. I have been doing a lot kind of behind the scenes trying to get ready for it, but it is going to be super cute. And I'm going to show you just a little bit of acrylic painting today, doing an Easter project. So I'm still in the Easter spirit over here. Hi, Jill. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Rima. How are you? If you guys come on, make sure to let me know that you're here. Say hello. Okay. No worries, Rima. If you want to change it, that's fine. If not, I know who you are. So I am going to take a look, kind of go on my phone just to make sure that I can see all the comments. But we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to do a little bit of decoupage, and we're going to do some acrylic painting. And we're going to do it on this little MDF Easter egg base that I have. I won't show you exactly what we're doing yet, but we're going to do kind of a two-part little Easter egg. So I'm super excited about it. I did practice just to make sure that my project was going to come out the way that I wanted it to. I'm doing a painting, and so the painting that I'm doing, I'm actually going to be painting this little bunny, and I'm going to be painting it onto this Easter egg using the Pentacolor acrylic paints. Hi, Cindy. How are you? So we're going to be using the creamy acrylics, and we're going to be using the matte acrylics as well in the jars. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you? So make sure you say hello. I know that I can complete the painting in 48 minutes. So I have a little bit of time. Like I said, I did a dry run last night just to make sure that I would have enough time, and I wasn't trying to be overly ambitious. So I'm not going to show you the one that I did last night. So you'll just have to follow along and watch me do this cute little painting. So, all right. So let me turn my camera down. All right. And let me know what you guys are up to on this Tuesday afternoon. It is officially afternoon yet now. So this is a little bunny image that I found. And of course, you know, I could have printed him on rice paper and decoupaged him, but I thought, how cute would it be to try to paint one? So what I've done is I've just kind of taken a sheet of carbon paper, and I've traced over the image with the carbon paper underneath, so that it left the impression of the bunny right here on my egg so that I can paint it for you. But first, before I do that, I am going to decoupage the back part of this egg, because what's going to happen is we are going to put our finished painting, we're going to mount it onto here. So let me go ahead and get this on so that it can get started with drying, and then I can begin the painting. So just trying to find my my little outline here, make sure that I'm kind of lined up and centered good, and I think I am. So thanks, Rima. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. It did come out cute. I texted it to Nancy last night so she could see it. But she's the only one I showed so far. Well, and my husband and my kids. One of my daughters has already laid claim to it. I also haven't really painted on like an MDF surface before like that. You know, usually when I paint, of course, obviously I do it on canvas. And so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't losing something in translation. So it doesn't hurt to practice, right? All right. Sometimes these lives take a little bit more, that's the other thing I want to mention is, the people who come on here and do the lives for you guys, they really do spend, myself included, but I'm not really talking about myself, but all of our creative team spends so much time really kind of preparing for these. And so I just want everybody to know that so that you can kind of appreciate what goes into this, especially some of the more detailed, complicated projects. Mine are usually pretty simple, but I know some people really kind of go all out for these. So I'm just going to decoupage that and then put it off to the side so that it can start drying. And then what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of sandpaper and buff off those edges once we're dry. But let me start painting because I know, I want to use every bit of time that I have. And so I want to show you the color palette that I chose, which is going to turn out a little bit different than the coloration of this bunny, but that's okay. I actually like it better. And so I'm going to be using a little bit of black. This is the creamy acrylic black, and I'm just using it. That's going to be really just like for his eye. This is going to be my main color. So he's going to be primarily this color, hazelnut. And we're going to need a good amount of that. Now, I actually don't paint like a lot of this style of painting with acrylic paints. I usually do, when I paint like this, I usually paint with oil paints. But I can tell you, I really enjoyed this. So I really enjoyed using these paints. And especially, and I'll say like, these go on really super smooth. They all do, but I enjoyed using these a lot more than I thought I would for this kind of painting. And I think it's because I use these paints so much in my crafting. Hi, Lisa. That I've just really gotten used to the texture of them, and I kind of know like what they're going to do and how they're going to blend. So I have become kind of an acrylic paint, a Pentart acrylic paint convert, have to say. So those of you who know, who have taken some of my classes in the past, I have used a different brand of paints, but I think I'm going to start really trying to perfect my techniques with these. So that's all good stuff. All right. So again, I've got earthy brown, ochre, red brown, hazelnut, creamy white, and then this is the matte version of the earthy brown, which I don't think I need, and then matte. So that's my color palette that I'm going to be using to paint this bunny. And I have some little tiny brushes. These are sable brushes. And this one is a number 4 bright. So I'm going to alternate kind of between this number 4 bright and this one is a super tiny, also a bright. I think this is a 2. It might be, let's see, I think it's a 2. Number 2, or it might be even a 0. Let's see if it says it on here. No, it's a 1. So this one is super tiny. See the little head on there? Super tiny. So kind of between a 4, a 2, and a 1. And first I'm actually going to take one of those and I'm going to layer in some of this dark. I'm going to start working on his ear area. Let me know if you can see that okay. And we're going to just start kind of layering in some of this dark here. And it's just going on really smoothly. So I will say in advance that sometimes, and Cindy, you know this, sometimes, especially when I'm painting like this, I can get a little bit lost in the zone, and I may forget to come up for air, so to speak, to check comments, but I promise you that I will periodically do just that and come up for air and check comments. So if anybody has any questions before I get too focused, let me know. So I'm just starting with some darks, you know, and then we're going to be doing lots and lots of layers here, you know, and so if something that I lay down color-wise doesn't really make sense to you, like why am I doing that? Just keep in mind, this is gonna be, it's going to look totally different by the end than it does during the in progress pieces. So, hello, Nancy. You should ask tons of questions. We might never finish. Just ask a few at a time, you know, or save them till the end. If we have time, you know, like once I'm done. But again, I know that this is only going to should only take 48 minutes. So I'm using every bit of time that I have to get started here. So the key, and basically, like I try to be, when I paint, I am like, I really love to get as realistic as possible while keeping things sort of loose. And I don't know if have any of you ever taken oil painting classes or like acrylic type classes before? So I'm just curious if you have, what sort of style you are used to, and if you've ever done like this kind of painting before. So I tend to get, you know, hung up on details sometimes. And then like what I'll do is usually come back and paint on it a little bit more. So even by the time we're done here, we may actually not be, it may not be fully done, because I will always come back in and start tweaking and kind of adding. But the other thing I want to mention, you know, if you are going to use that carbon technique and try to paint something like this, to draw yourself in as many of the details as possible. So see right around, a lot of times we get focused on just the kind of underlying shape instead of the details. So try to draw yourself in like as many of your little details as possible. So see up here, because I want to make sure that my placement of this little guy right here is in the right spot. And then this little shadow along the side of his whiskers is in the right spot. So anyway, that's kind of my helpful tip for making sure that you're getting all the good stuff. Okay. So I'm just kind of blocking in some color to start laying down some of the foundation. And you'll see I used a mix of terracotta. Sorry, this is red brown. I used a mix of red, brown, ochre, and hazelnut to get this kind of creamy brown color. And this paint dries super fast, so I find myself mixing it up again often, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just important to kind of always know like what what color is on your brush at any given time. So that kind of when you're going around. And so what I'm doing is kind of a map. So I started with the dark areas, and now I'm kind of hitting all of what I would consider medium darkness areas that are in this same kind of chestnut brown color scheme, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to move to colors that are a little bit lighter. And then we will finish with some details. So hopefully this kind of makes sense. And, you know, it's difficult for me to explain sometimes when I'm painting exactly what I'm doing. So this is not something that I could ever probably really teach, because a lot of times my paintbrush just sort of takes over and starts doing things that I don't really understand why it's doing it. So I probably don't have a future as an acrylic painting instructor, because I would just grab the brush from you and I would start painting myself. I'd be like, no, do this instead. Okay, awesome, good. All right. So sorry I can't be a little bit more descriptive about exactly what I'm doing here, but hopefully you can kind of see. So I decided I need a little bit more medium tones down in here. So I did add a little bit of that earthy brown to start kind of pouncing that in. And then this area over here is, so see how I mixed in my yellow and my red brown here? This area over here has a lot more just kind of, I would say, more brown and hazelnut in it. So it's more neutral, whereas this one's a little bit more warm. And so I'm going to leave out my ochre and my hazelnut for this area here, and just kind of stick with, sorry, I'm going to leave out my ochre and my red brown. I'm going to stick with my earthy brown and my hazelnut over here. And see how that just, it looks a little bit grayer since I didn't introduce those colors into it. And then we'll kind of do, we'll do some of the highlights and the fluffy white parts last. Okay. So I always doubt myself when I do stuff like this, because I'm like, what if I get what, because it is so free flowing and I don't always know like exactly, I don't look at it and think through exactly what I'm going to do. So sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I go like, what if I start it and then I don't know how to finish it? Like, what if I can't figure out the colors? But then I always kind of go back to, well, you just sort of do what you see. And that's really it. It's like the whole process for me is painting what I see. And that's the beauty of art, is because what I'm seeing or translating may end up being completely different than what somebody else sees or their translation of it. So it's always just kind of fun. If you gave 2 artists the exact same reference photo, or even 10 artists for that matter, they would all look completely different, which I absolutely love. So you can see like his chin here, his little area under here sort of graduates from dark all the way to light. And that's kind of what I'm doing with my colors. And I haven't pulled in a whole lot of white. I have pulled in some, but that's kind of what I'm doing with my colors here, is sort of gradually going from dark to light. And I need to spend a little bit of time up in his ears up here too. So this paint does dry pretty fast, but what I will say too, I have not really found an acrylic paint that blends better than these do. And I am really, really, really happy about that, because they blend with each other beautifully. You can easily use them without having to use a whole lot of other mediums like thinners and things like that. You can easily use them with just water, which I really like. And so just talking away. Hey, Araceli. Hi, Sue. So I'm looking up. So if you needed to say something, you had your chance. All right. So you'll also notice that throughout this process, I do not really spend a whole lot of time cleaning my brush. And the reason for that is because there is so much blending involved between these color shifts that I sort of want those colors to mix and mingle with each other. And I'm really like identifying the color as I go, and picking it up on my brush as I go. So I hope that makes sense. Like, I want them to be married to each other. So I'm not trying to make huge separations or huge jumps in color from section to section. So that's another trick too. Like, if you have a color that's mixed up and it's the perfect color and you really don't want to mix anymore, you can just dab a little bit of water on it. And it'll reactivate it somewhat so that you can keep going. So where do I need that? And I'll reactivate it a little bit so that you can keep going with that color. Okay. All right. So another thing that I will do from time to time is just kind of jump between areas, and it's a little bit of ADD because now I'm kind of like sick of doing the body. I want to do something else. So what I'm going to do now is work on the eye a little bit, and I'm just going to take this black and we're going to do his whole eye with this tiny, tiny little brush. We're going to do it in black. This is where precision is important. You don't want to paint outside the lines here, because this is the most important area of his little face. So that's why a super, super tiny brush is what's called for there. Okay. Now let me get up in his ear. I did not show you, but I am going to use a little bit of pink. Oh, I did show you the pink. So we are going to use a little bit of pink up in his ear. And we're going to use for that part, we're going to use this. I think it's a number, it's either a 2 or a 4. And we're going to take a little bit of pink. That is an awfully, awfully bright pink, nowhere near that color. But I'm going to show you how we tone that down. I'm going to mix a little bit of this. That's too light. I'm going to mix a little bit of that hazelnut in it so that it gets a little bit muddy. Over here, it's a little bit pinker. And I might pick up a little touch of this red clay just to make it a little bit warmer. Oh, that's the right color right there. So it didn't take me, that's another thing too. It didn't take me very long to get to a color that was going to work with these paints. You know, and you can, what I'm finding, and I don't know if it's just the paints or if my technique is getting better over time, but what I'm finding is, you know, you don't really have to have the exact right color in your stash. You can definitely mix things as you go. Kind of on the fly. And I think we got pretty close there. So I'm pretty happy with that. By just kind of knowing what I'm working with in terms of the colors I have available and then making it work. Okay. All right, so we did do the dark there. We're going to go to medium, probably this medium. Let's get that again, kind of this medium hazelnut brown, kind of gray. And we'll sort of start to blend that in as well. And then I'm just kind of wiping away some of the excess on my brush. Yeah, exactly. So it's, you know, working with like a limited palette, just kind of sticking with the colors that you have available to you. It also makes for a more harmonious painting. So, you know, when your underlying colors are kind of the same throughout the whole painting, it really makes it look a little bit more cohesive, in my opinion. All right, so let's go down here. This guy hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention down here. So we're gonna work on this area. I forgot to mention that before I started this painting, I actually painted the little egg with the Decor Chalky Vintage Beige. That's the base color that you see on here, just so you guys know. And then I did put a varnish on top of it. So you can see I sort of move around my painting based on what color is on my brush. So I know I have this sort of neutral on my brush right now, only it's a little bit lighter. So I'm going to come in and like just do that spot there. So it just kind of depends on the area that I'm working on, depends on what I've got on my brush, because I'm trying to work through the whole painting before the color that I mixed up dries too much. So it's kind of my style, I would say, is sort of realistic, but also very loose. If we had to categorize it, which we don't. All right, let's get a little bit more of that yellow. A little bit more of this. Let's get a little bit more of that. Okay, and now we'll start to blend in a little bit of that same color, but we'll go a little bit lighter. And we'll start to do that over here. Maybe up in here too. Yes, I will, Sue. Yes, I will do that. This brush is not quite what I needed, so I'm just going to cover that up a little bit. Okay, so let me grab a little bit of this one. This is the darker brown. And I'm going to start filling in some of my missing pieces here. So now we have most of the color kind of blocked in, and we can start looking at the details a little bit. Let me get a little bit more. Fill in anything that's like white. How are we doing on time? Okay, I'm good on time. I can finish. Okay. Okay, so let me switch gears up in his ears here. I'm gonna get a little bit around this detail here. Another point I want to make while I have you is I am not going for like a picture perfect copy. Not that I even really could copy it picture perfect necessarily, but I'm going for like an interpretation of this bunny. So I'm not trying to replicate. I'm just trying to sort of make it look as close as possible, but I also know that it's never going to be, it is not going to be the exact same thing. So I'm just going to soften these edges a little bit, and then and a lot of times when I paint, I'm also not even looking at like the picture or the part that I'm painting. I'm focused on a particular shape. So all this is just breaking things down into workable shapes. Little triangles and lines, etc. All right, so let's switch gears. We'll go to his eye a little bit more. Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. We're gonna do this little white part along his ear too. I think my brush is good. You gotta have like a super fine detail brush. And strong glasses. I got my readers on. Okay, so there's that. Okay. All right, let's work on the eyeball a little bit more. So I have kind of neglected that area. And then we got two little white dots there and there. And what I did there was I just picked up a glob of paint. And then down under his eye, we have a little bit of detail right here, like in the crease. We have some little tiny eyebrow whiskers. And then down under here, we have a little line kind of defining right underneath his eye. Now I am not going to be able to get, like, there's a little other fine line kind of separating. It's microscopic and I would need like basically a hair to do that. I am not going to do that. So sometimes it's okay to leave stuff out if it's like beyond your skill level. Don't sweat it. and it is not going to take away from the painting by not having it there. So this is where we're at so far, guys. And I have 15 minutes left. All right, so now I'm going to start working on some like finishing kind of touches. And we'll get into his little nose here and I'm just using brown, the dark brown. I'm not using black here. I'm just using the dark brown. All right. So cute. Oh my gosh. I just want to squeeze on his little cheeks. All right. So let's add, since I have that dark on my brush, can always sort of, again, like stop and evaluate what you have on your brush before you switch colors to see if you can use it somewhere. In this case, I can. Okay. So down in here, I needed a little bit more darkness in this area. And up in here, there. Let's go. And I'm going to put a little floofy tail right there. All right, so now I can get a little bit bigger of a brush, and I am going to take just some, this is some ivory, and we're going to add some highlights. Now I'm not trying to get, right now I'm not trying to get like fur brush strokes necessarily, but I am trying to just add some highlights here and there. Right. All Now, let's get a little tiny bit of the white, and then we'll get a couple of these little details. Here. I want a little bit of pink on his nose. I know his nose here doesn't have pink, but I want some. So I'm going to put a little bit of pink on his nose. And I'm going to put a little bit under here too. And this one, this area here needs a little bit more blending. So this is just kind of like, okay, now it's mostly done, but we just need to fill in a couple little patchy problems and details. And then we'll get in his little tuft right here, we'll do a little bit of like fur. And then over here in his whiskers, we will get some whiskers going. I can't do as many as they have done. But I can do some. So it's kind of the illusion of more there. And then I can do some over here as well. And then I can do this eye. Right here. And I can do some whiskers. So last night when I did this, I actually used a little pencil, so you could do that too. Okay, so here's my bunny, guys. That's about as much as I can do, but one thing I am going to do is come around and clean up some of the edges. No, I'm wondering if it was this paint that I used because it looks different. Probably looks different after I varnished it and whatnot. So, and I didn't keep the color that I used out. So I have a little bit of a, here's what I can do. I can sort of play around with my background a little bit. And soften it up some. Oops, maybe put a little bit of green in there too. Just to kind of make it look like a real painting. Because you know the backgrounds in real paintings are all very varied. I guess it is a real painting, right? Yeah. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, I'm like, it is a real painting. What am I talking about? Not a fake painting. I literally just painted it. I'm so used to decoupage, which is like making things look like real paintings. So anyway, you get the idea. So let's move. Let's go see if our little thingamabob, the decoupage canvas part is not quite dry enough to sand down all the way. But thank you, Sue. So let's see how close I got. Here's the one I did last night. And I did him just on a white tag. So I think I got pretty close. Like I said, they're going to come out different every time. And I tried not to refer to the one from last night too much. Let's see. But it at least gave me the confidence that I knew I could do it right around in my time frame. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me for a minute. I think we'll go over just a few minutes because I do kind of want to show you how I'm going to put them together. So kind of blending, I guess we're just blending like traditional acrylic painting with decoupage here. And there he is. There's his little background. He will get a little bow. So here's a little pretty green bow. And we may even do, I may put this little ornament on there or not. What do you think? Should we put that little ornament on there? I think that kind of crowns him pretty nicely. I think that'll look good. And then we will finish off that little ornament maybe with a little bit of dry brushing. I think so too. Let me zoom up a little bit just so you can see. Yeah, I think so too. So, all right. So you guys, that's pretty much what I have for you today. I will finish this up and then send Sylvie my pictures. But I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with me and keeping me company while I paint my little Easter bunny. Thank you. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.